What is up? It's your boy Johnny Shreve, aka Mr. Tell Like It Is. Today, guys, I'm going to review Wolf Coaching's latest video, how to build more muscle in less time, 11 hacks. Now, if you're wondering what's going on with my fingers, my daughter painted my fingers this weekend. I was at a music festival and she decided to help decorate her daddy. So if you're wondering, that's why. I've already watched this video and I thought I'd give you guys my input as well too. When it comes to these videos, I think they're awesome because we get a nice evidence-based researched video here, and then my anecdotal experience with being a full-time in-person and online coach. So let's get into it.
First, drop sets. The biggest meta-analysis on drop sets by Coleman and colleagues suggests that drop sets can offer the same muscle growth in a whopping 30 to 70% less time compared to just doing traditional sets. The catch is that to get the same effect, you might need to do an additional 30% sets or so. Pick a weight you can do for about 5 to 15 reps before hitting failure. Do a set and get pretty close to failure. I recommend ending the set when you're not quite at failure, but could have done another 2 reps tops.
That's definitely a great way to save some time, is like adding in some kind of set intensifier like drop sets. And there's a great explanation on drop sets, but for me, I would add this. When it comes to drop sets, because most of the time people don't train as hard as they think they're training. Take the first set to failure, and then you know that the next part of the drop, you don't have to go to failure because you'll know exactly how close you are getting to failure, making that drop set more accurate. Now, when it comes to saving time in workouts, the biggest factor that's gonna help us save time, make it more efficient, is making sure that the saved time intensity is still at its highest. So I would say, instead of close to failure for your first set, I would say take the first initial set to failure and then your second and third drop close to failure.
The second time saver is paired supersets. We recently published a new study in trained lifters, finding that using supersets can help you shave up to 40% from your workout time while causing the same muscle growth. How do you do a paired superset? Take 2 exercises that target different areas of the body. An easy way to achieve this is to pick 2 muscles that perform opposite functions. Do a set of barbell curls. Rest for about 30 to 45 seconds. Then go ahead and do a set of barbell overhead extensions. Rest for another 30 to 45 seconds. Then do another set of barbell curls, and so forth until all your sets are done.
Another really good tip to save time. Now, I like to add some other set intensifiers as well too. Something like a giant set, basically anything more than a superset. So you have a superset, you're doing 2 exercises that are mainly the opposite, and then you're doing a giant set, which basically is 3 or more. Now you can call it a tri-set as well too, but a giant set can be like 3 or more exercises. And I like doing that to save a lot of time, especially if we're really trying to save time on even one muscle group. For example, the 3 motion ladder raise. You're doing 3 movements, 1 exercise back to back to back, all using the same muscle groups, but splitting them up with front delts, side delts, and rear delts. And that's just gonna overall increase intensity and muscle growth. Now you can also do something similar to what he's saying by doing the opposite muscles, but here you can add even 1 more exercise. You look something like doing, like, say, a chest exercise, a back exercise, and then a leg exercise back to back to back. Now doing a giant set with just adding 1 more exercise is, like he said, in terms of just doing a chest, then back, and legs, will keep intensity high, save you lots of time, and still build a ton of muscle while doing it. Now, if you're using something like a Smith machine, you can do squats, bent over rows, and pressing in the Smith machine. Fairly simple, effective, and intensities at an all-time high. Give that a try, save some time.
Third, rest times. We conducted the biggest meta-analysis on rest times for building muscle and found that resting for just 1 to 2 minutes between sets, on average, was enough to maximize muscle building. Most people rest quite a bit longer than this, but there's a chance they were just wasting time. Instead, try resting for around a minute between isolation movements and around 2 minutes for compound movements.
Now, this is a really good tip overall. When it comes to the science-backed, evidence-based research, it makes a lot of sense. Now, what I have found with clients is, when it comes to progressive overload, it's not necessarily always gonna be, adding reps or adding weight on a week-to-week basis. It literally, most of the time, comes to getting people to actually be able to rest for 2 minutes. Most people are not resting for 2 minutes whatsoever. When I have check-ins on a week-to-week basis and we talk about training and resting and whatnot, I ask, how long are your average rests? And even when I have prescribed in their plan rest for 2 minutes, it's somewhere mostly near around 3 to 4, even 5 minutes in between sets. And then when it comes to a week-to-week progression, what's my goal with my client? we're going to progressive overload you to actually be able to rest for 2 minutes. Make sure you have a watch, make sure you have a clock, or you can add my app. When you're done your set, it actually keeps the track of the time for you and gives you about a 3-second countdown before the next set. So when it comes down to it, just try to actually rest for 2 minutes. And then once you've actually made it to a point of actually being able to rest for 2 minutes, then we'll try and see if we can rest for a minute for accessory work. Makes a lot of sense. My reps have tempo. My set has a lot of time, and my rest has a lot of time as well too. So if I'm doing 10 reps and my tempo is if it's a 2-second negative, a 1-second positive length of contraction, and a 1-second positive, that's a 4-second set. So if I did 10 reps, that's about 40 seconds. Now, if I make sure I rest the exact time I need to rest, which is 2 minutes, that's 2 minutes and 40 seconds. Let's round it up and say 3 minutes. So if I did 20 hard sets in a day, I rested for 2 minutes, my sets actually took about a minute, and 1 rep will take 4 seconds total, so that's about 3 minutes. So 20 sets times rounded up to 3 is 60 minutes. How are you in the gym for 1.5 to 2 hours if 20 sets at 2 minutes between each set and a 1 minute set, which is pretty hard, only takes 60 minutes?
Improve your warm-up routine. Many people spend 10 to 30 minutes warming up before doing their actual first training set. Unless you're dealing with an injury and a medical professional gave you a specific warm-up routine to complete, you don't need that much of a warm-up. In fact, when looking at 6 of the most recent studies on warming up before doing a traditional hypertrophy workout of multiple sets of 6 to 12 reps on different movements, one thing became clear. You don't need a long warm-up to maximize performance.
I think that's an absolute amazing tip, and I'm gonna add to it. When you guys warm up, the biggest waste of time is warming up every single exercise. And what do I mean by that? If I'm doing a chest day, and my workout consists of incline Smith machine, the next one's a dumbbell flat press, and then the next exercise is flies. It's really no need for me to warm up that much more after already warming up for my first exercise and then doing that exercise. 2 warm-up sets at the beginning of your workout, and then that first set, you're good for the rest of the exercise. So stop wasting time doing so many sets.
The 5th tip is focusing on the stretch. The time savings? Priceless. On a serious note, the research does suggest that focusing on the stretch can increase your muscle growth without costing any additional time. To focus on the stretch, simply perform movements that provide a good stretch on the target muscle under resistance. A recent study we did compared doing just 4 reps on the single leg calf raise to doing a technique I call the lengthened superset. In the lengthened superset, you do 4 reps until you can't get another rep, then extend the set by doing half reps in the stretched position until you can't get another stretched rep.
That is actually a really good tip. And when all these studies came out about the lengthened contraction being the most important part and everybody just jumped on it, and we all did. We've all jumped on it, but I always emphasize how important it was to do the full range of motion. The full range, all the way up and all the way down. It's literally part of the parameters when I rank exercises worst to best. Now, when it comes to full range of motion, it's very important that we do work on the stretch because regardless of the studies, the stretch still is going to give us the most amount of muscle recruitment. But the entire range of motion will increase the tension in that stretch part of the lift. So for the most part, a lot of people just don't do a full range of motion. A lot of people are really focused on just getting the weight up. And you have to change your mindset to making sure that I get the weight up so that I can lower the weight back down. That's literally the point of full range of motion.
And this brings me to tip number 6. Make each set count. If you only have a few hours to be in the gym each week, you need to make sure each set is as good as it gets. I just mentioned lengthened supersets, which are a way to train past failure. But even just taking a set to failure will likely make the set build more muscle, with no additional time cost. The most recent meta-analysis on training to failure by Robinson and colleagues found that taking a set to failure could increase muscle growth by around 30% compared to taking it to just 4 reps in a tank.
I like to add, taking your first set to failure will just increase overall intention for the remainder of the sets in that exercise, and then it's gonna guarantee that you're giving your all. When you kind of come to failure, you're trying to like maybe come a couple reps of failure, or you just might not get there. But when you go to failure, you 100% got there. And when it comes down to it, guys, most people do not train hard, or they think they train hard. When you go to the gym and you train to failure, there's always a point in that set getting close to failure. I don't know what number it is. You're starting to feel fatigue coming on. Your muscles get a little more pumped, lactic acid is building up, and there's a point of that set that in your brain, you're like, you want to quit. You're going to stop early. This is good enough. When you go to failure, every single time you actually bring yourself to failure, you are getting stronger mentally every single time. Every time. Because the body does not want to go to failure. The body does not want to feel pain. So you have to take control, take that set to failure, and have the mental fortitude to actually be able to reach it. Because every time that you do, you get mentally stronger and stronger and stronger. And I promise you, that'll be one of the biggest things that'll increase your training efficiency.
For time saving. We conducted the biggest meta-analysis yet on how accurate people are at gauging failure. For example, if I told you I thought I could do another 3 reps before hitting failure, how accurate would I be in my prediction on average? Well, according to our review paper, people underestimate themselves by 1 rep on average. However, when you perform high rep training, much above 12 reps per set, you become way less accurate and start training less hard. Sticking to sets of 5 to 12 reps can help you train closer to failure.
What he meant by training heavier is like doing that 5 to 12 rep range. That's basically your sweet spot for hypertrophy rep range. But I take that even further because a lot of times we're always hearing, should I go less weight and more reps or should I go heavier weight and less reps? Well, it's more than just that. It's the actual time under tension. Yes, you will save time by training a little bit heavier within a rep range, but having an actual tempo for each rep will make that set that much harder. And just like I said, a lot of people underestimate or overestimate how hard they're actually training, especially when they're training in that high rep range.
Time efficient exercises are usually compound, stack loaded machine or dumbbell exercises. Why? Compound or multi-joint movements allow you to train many muscles at once. In moving several joints at once, they involve a larger fraction of your body's muscle mass. In fact, a meta-analysis on studies comparing isolation and compound movements found that they were similarly effective for building muscle. Dumbbell and machine movements are generally more time efficient than their barbell and plate-loaded machine counterparts.
And I gotta agree, definitely. Picking exercises that aren't gonna take so much time. Again, yeah, setting up your free weight barbells, they are gonna take a lot of time. And for me, my staple when I'm actually prescribing workouts is pretty simple. 3 to 4 exercises at most for our set exercise. So when it comes to chest, I'm doing 3 to possibly 4 exercises. And then a 4th exercise might be like a carryover, meaning a 15-degree incline press, another press of some sort. An accessory could be cable flies, could be pec deck, and then like a carryover exercise would be like dips. All things that take no time to set up, and they'll save you a lot of time in the end. Second last tip, we have exercise snacks.
The concept of exercise snacks is to break down traditional longer workouts into bite-sized mini workouts, hence the term snacks. This can work really well if you have a home gym, just a pair of adjustable dumbbells, or even just like using bodyweight exercises. Whenever you get a spare minute, like in between work meetings, try pumping out a set of any exercise. Since you're just doing 1 set, you can cut out the rest time commitment too, and could be done in just 30 to maybe 60 seconds.
Now this is actually a good tip. I actually prescribed the program for my brother just like this. He's actually following it on the app right now. Yes, you can build muscle doing bodyweight exercise, but at some point you're going to have to load the muscle with weights or even resistance bands. And again, there'll be a progressive overload part of that has to take place. But if you're a beginner or at the beginning of your fitness journey, doing bodyweight exercises at home and those little exercise snack tips, basically doing smaller sets for like a minute, not only will help you build a little muscle, it will just keep you overall healthy.
If you do really hard training early into a workout, like high rep squats for example, you can end up really winded for the rest of the workout, which can cause you to take longer rest times. Instead, when you train, save some of your hardest training, the stuff that gasses you out the most and has the greatest cardiorespiratory demands, for last. This could be some high rep compound training, like high rep split squats, or it could be a drop set. In just 2 to 3 minutes, you've gotten a lot of effective training in, and since you're leaving the gym in a second anyways, breathing heavy afterwards isn't a big deal and won't slow you down for the rest of the workout.
To me, when it comes to putting the hard exercise that are going to make you more win at the end of the exercise before, rather than at the beginning, I find that it's not going to make much of a difference. Well, here's the thing: if I do a really hard exercise, say at the beginning of my workout, like I would say like higher rep squats, like he said, If I take more time doing it and resting and resting and resting, it's gonna delay the smaller, less demanding exercises after. Well, if I do the less demanding exercises before and I do the hard cardiovascular demanding exercise at the end, it's still gonna make me take more time to recover at the end anyway. So let's make sure that if we do program to have those exercises at the end of a workout, that we pick something that's gonna be more efficient in terms of our energy output and effectiveness of the actual exercise. So for me, it wouldn't be at the end of the exercise barbell squats. It'll be something like maybe a pendulum squat, maybe hack squat, maybe leg press. Train hard, get in, get out. That's the goal.
If you're busy and worried that a lack of time to exercise is negatively impacting your health, don't worry. The biggest studies we have on how much exercise you need to really get healthy suggest that you can get nearly all the health benefits in just a few hours of hard training each week. For example, a huge cohort study in over 100,000 American adults, published in the Circulation Journal, found that the nearly maximal reduction in overall mortality risk was achieved with just 2.5 to 5 hours of vigorous physical activity, not accounting for any other physical activity you might do in your leisure time, like the occasional walk.
The training benefits are absolutely endless. Not only are you lengthening your life, but you're also increasing your overall quality of life. And really, it doesn't take that much time. 45 minutes to an hour, 3 times a week will decrease the chances of Alzheimer's disease, cardiovascular disease, cognitive decline, muscle wasting disease. All those risks are greatly reduced by just training 45 minutes to an hour 3 times a week. And you can actually make good solid gains, but let's make sure we understand this. There will be a point when you get to a place where you'll have to add another day. But just starting off at 3 days a week, the benefits you'll just get from that and training hard and efficient is absolutely amazing. Take all the tips from Wolf, take some of the tips that I've given you as well too, apply these to your life, and I can promise you, you'll reap all the rewards of living a healthier, stronger, happier life. If you're having trouble, if you're stuck with programming or sticking to a diet or even just having some motivation on a day-to-day basis, hit the link in the description below, fill the application, and see if we're a great fit for Johnny SHREVE Fitness Coaching. Anyway guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Until next time, you know how it is. Iron sharpens iron, progressive overload your life. In the meantime, keep dream chasing.